Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Hammond Capital Improvement Board for March the 6th. Please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Yuda.
Here.
Prieto.
Here.
Spitali.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Warple.
Here.
Button.
Here. Let the record reflect that all seven board members are present, 6 in chambers and 1 online. Next item on the agenda is item 4, consideration of the past meeting minutes. Board, you've all had hopefully a chance to review the meeting minutes from your package. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Moved by Councilman Spitali, properly seconded by Commissioner Prieto for the approval of the past meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Moore.
Yes.
Muda.
Yes.
Prieto.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 6 ayes and no nays. Next item is item 5, report on the work study session. Immediately prior to this meeting at 4:30, the board met to discuss the agenda items and the status of certain projects. Is there any other comment further regarding the work study session? Next item on the agenda is funding. Turn it over to our esteemed Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. As of today's date, including the allocation sheets that are before us tonight, if they should pass, we have about $1 million that is unallocated. We will be receiving our first quarter budget based off of the fourth quarter revenues from the casinos. We should receive that in the next week or so from the mayor, so those figures should be plugged in for the next meeting. And I have a preliminary 2022 rollover number in there. I would actually like, Mr. President, if you and I can meet to go over some of the allocation sheets. I know we had some ARPA approvals that we may have shifted that need to be canceled off of our sheet. So if we can set that up, that would be great and free up a little bit more money.
Wonderful. Yeah, thankfully we had sufficient money in the budget to have a surplus should you agree to tonight's actions. Thank you for your fine report. Any questions for Commissioner Moore? Okay, moving on. Item 7 is matters from mayor, council, and other departments. Welcome anyone in the audience. If you'd like to address the board, or you're just happy with the Councilman Kowinski. Be happy to hear from you, sir.
Afternoon. I wasn't sure if this is the right time or public expression, but given the opportunity, I have a few items I'd like to go over. One is I gave all of you a packet regarding my request for resurfacing of streets for this summer in the 1st District. One of them is Johnson Avenue, which is a collector street in that part of the district, from the CSX tracks going north to 138th, where it dead ends. I've provided pictures of the street and how it's unraveling and how it has holes, and that no amount of hot tar is going to make that street usable. I also put in there a request for 119th Street in Robertsdale from Calumet Avenue to Atchison, as that is breaking down too, and that's a significant corridor in that part of the district. So my question would be, how much money is allocated for resurfacing for this summer, and how will you decide what streets get resurfaced?
Currently, there is no money allocated for resurfacing. Last year, we had $1 million accounted for, or allocated for. We went over that late in the year. The history is the city has normally spent about $2.4 million on resurfacing. 2020, we cut back, so I recognize that we're significantly behind in our resurfacing program. So we're hoping to hear, over the past several years, we've been
My understanding
behind on
is that last year we were appropriated more than 2 million, but only a little over 1 million was spent.
No, sir. 1 million was appropriated by this capital improvement board.
Okay. Your engineering department seems to think otherwise, but okay.
I'm the engineer. I'm
You-
telling you.
I
it
said
was
your
one-
department, yeah.
it-
I heard that from somebody else, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well,
Without giving a name.
they're misinformed. This board funded $1 million worth of resurfacing, and then late in the year, there was a small
I can
addition.
appreciate that I'm given the correct information now, but your department gave me something else a little while ago.
I'll have a word with my department.
The other thing is,
I'm sorry, Councilman, before we move on,
yes.
I looked at the photos that you provided.
Yes.
And there's a duplicate photo in each packet. So if you could clarify, the last photograph on the first packet of 119th Street looks identical to the fourth picture of the packet on Johnson Street, and I was wondering which one would be the appropriate.
I'm not sure what Liz did with the packet, so I'd have to review it too.
Okay. Well, thank you. If you could, and clarify that for us.
I will. Also, sidewalk reconstruction, my understanding is 600,000 was supposed to be spent last year, but we didn't spend all that.
It was budgeted at 600,000. I don't, off the top of my head, know how much money.
And
was
so
actually
this
spent.
year, are we budgeting 600,000 again? And
Yes.
is that 100,000 per district?
The intent would be to budget $600,000. We have not made that appropriation.
Is that in the plans for this year? or-
We have $1 million, as Commissioner Moore has just notified us, so we don't have the funds in the capital improvement budget at this time to fund either of those programs.
Okay. Last year, I gave a list of approximately 6 streets for total reconstruction. And I'm wondering about the status of those projects, and do I have any reconstruction occurring in the first district in Hammond this year?
It is not currently in the plan. We have $1 million currently available to fund projects through the Capital Improvements Board. You do have a design project on 117th Street, west of Calumet Avenue, that's in progress.
Okay. The status of the stop sign, the painted piano lines, and the repainting of the lines on the street on Homan Avenue that were approved last year, where are we with that?
That would be a Public Works question. You would want to direct your question. That doesn't come through this board.
Okay. But doesn't this board allocate the funds for that?
Public Works puts up signs and paints lines.
I requested the solar signs, and I requested the hot lines that come through a contractor for the intersection, the piano lines. And I was told by you that a contractor does that. Does a contractor go through the Public Works or through the CIB?
We don't have a contract with a contractor that does thermoplastic.
So how do we get that done?
So it could be painted by the Public Works Department, because we don't have that capability to do that.
So that's a different message than previously. Okay. One last item. Ornamental light poles that come down. I have a significant number in the first district that have come down or been rotted or been hit that haven't been fixed for well over a year. How does the city determine where ornamental lights need to be replaced?
Ornamental lighting is handled by the Public Works Department. The replacement and maintenance of the ornamental lights, I would refer you to Felix Gonzalez at the Public Works Department.
Is anybody aware of a process of how or what department goes out and checks these lights around the city that need to be replaced? I mean, is code or Public Works or anybody going around and identifying across the city all these lights that are down? It isn't just an issue in the first district. I know Dave has the same issue. I know Pete Torres in the second does. Is anybody out there looking at that?
I could be mistaken, but I think Public Works has an employee who is dedicated to this.
Is it the light guys or somebody
So,
else?
I'm not 100% sure.
Frank
I don't
Sarang and Eddie Banda are the employees that
They
drive the
replace
street
the
lights
lights.
trucks.
I know they replace them, but who goes out there to see what needs to be replaced? Because if I don't make a call and say these lights are down, it seems like nothing gets done.
I will echo Dean, and that is handled through the streets department. It's their budget that pays for all of the knockdowns and lights that are damaged or out. So that would be a Felix question as to, how they prioritize the lights that get replaced and if there's anybody that goes and checks on a regular basis.
So currently, there's $1 million unallocated.
For the capital improvement board, yes, that separate from the lighting funds.
Mr. President,
Who's that?
I had inquired about
Warple?
knockdown light poles at my very first meeting too, and I was unaware that when we buy lights, that there's extra poles that Public Works has. And I believe I was told the process is to report it on 311, and that's when, is that correct?
That would be my suggestion,
Yeah.
is to use the Hammond 311 app to report ornamental lights that are down. It's a Public Works function. They have an inventory of lights.
I know
they
Councilman
don't control
Tyler
that
had-
department. I don't know what the process or procedure is for replacing.
I know Councilman Tyler had told me that he reports down poles all the time, and they get replaced within a couple of weeks, and I was unaware of that, too. I thought that, I think you told me that there was, 5 or 6 extra poles on every project or something that,
There has been a policy for a short period of time where 10% of the lights that are purchased in each district are ordered as spare poles and luminaires. So the Public Works Department has an inventory of spare poles and lights, to my knowledge, right? Because they're delivered by the contractor to the Department of Public Works.
It seems to me, we all have district foremen. They drive the districts all day long. Code enforcement drives the districts all day long. It seems to me, and I will bring this up to right authorities, that perhaps people who are already in the district should be noting those things, as in ornamental lights that are down, rather than me having to scour the district to make a list or wait for somebody to put it on 311. But I'll take that up with somebody else. Now, the status of reconstruction projects, they're scored by somebody, I believe it might be you, Dean, at some point, and then they're just put on a list. Is there a period of reassessment in a year's time or what have you? Because I'm sure that Torrance Avenue and I think Mahoney Drive are probably two of the worst projects or two of the worst streets in need of getting done across the city. So do you update your listing and reevaluate these projects to score them again to see if they change in their scoring? Or do you just score them once and leave them alone until they resurface after other projects are done?
Projects that you mentioned have been designed. There hasn't been sufficient funds available to make those changes. JF Mahoney Drive was funded in part through American Rescue Plan Act funds that were made available. Torrance has been designed and needs funds to move forward with that. There's a segment of Goslin between Calumet Avenue and Columbia Avenue that's been designed. So there are projects out there that are in the hopper waiting to be funded.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other matters from the mayor, the council, or other departments? Oh, Councilman Emerson.
Good evening, Board and Dean. I just wanted to mention again, because last time I was here, I didn't mention, and thank you for approving State Line and 165th, but I said it was an eyesore. It is an eyesore, but it's also dangerous. I don't know, and maybe you know, or the board knows, if anybody has gotten killed there from coming over from Illinois, hitting the concrete barriers. I don't know of any, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I'm happy to ask the police department for an accident report summary of that over the last 5 years and have those results provided to you, sir.
Okay, thanks. I've been preoccupied with Anchor Inn and the number of police that have been called there, although they've either haven't been, or we had a meeting with them, and I guess she's straightening up her act a little bit. So anyway, it's dangerous, and you had commented on, you guys approved some funding for it, and I thank you for that. 19,000, actually, and that's great. So if you could review again what you want to do at that intersection, because you said something about signage, some kind of glow-in-the-dark signs, or not glow-in-the-dark, but
Backlit.
they're backlit, yeah. Okay. And that's really all I have. I thank you, Board, for doing that, because it's been an eyesore, and my wife used to drive home from Illinois, where she was a teacher, every day on 159th. That turns into 165th, and it was just a nightmare. But I don't know why they can't make that turn there, but they have trouble doing it. Okay.
I'm happy
Thank
to
you.
meet with you separately, Councilman.
Oh, sure.
And we can go over the details of that. The design is not complete, and we're working with Calumet City to improve the approach to that intersection from the west.
Yeah, that needs to be done too, but I doubt if they'll straighten to make it like 165th, but.
We want them to slow down. We want we're going to petition for speed limit reductions and sort of signs that sort of indicate that the road is turning.
Yeah, I did hear the gentleman that lives on the northeast corner, he lives in Hammond, he put a vinyl fence up, or vinyl fence in his backyard, and he rehabbed the garage or something. And that house was looking a little unkempt for a while, but I think he's thrown a lot into it. So that's one corner, and then this forest preserve is the other corner, and the lottery tickets on the other corner. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Any other matters from the mayor, council, or other departments? Okay, next item on the agenda is item 8, old business. Is there any old business? Item 9 is new business. Item 9A is a funding allocation, Summer Street reconstruction, Columbia Avenue to Indianapolis Boulevard with the Indiana Department of Transportation, in the amount of $1,870,125.73. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make motion.
Thank you, Councilman Spitali. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Muda. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the funding allocation for Summer Street. Is there any discussion? For the record, this is the city's portion of a 20% match. The entire local public agency, which includes the city, the water department, sanitary district, is about $2.8 million of a $14 million project to reconstruct Summer Street from Columbia Avenue to Indianapolis Boulevard. This is new utilities, relocated utilities, new sidewalks, curbs, gutters, storm sewer facilities. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion?
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Tyler,
yes,
Warple,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries, 7 ayes and no nays. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 9B, the funding allocation for Florida Avenue infrastructure with Milestone Contractors North in the amount of $249,466.33. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Spitali. Is there a second?
second,
Seconded by Commissioner Prieto. It's been moved and properly seconded for the funding allocation for Florida Avenue construction. Is there any discussion? For the record, this is the additional funds needed to supplement the council-approved American Rescue Plan Act funding for this project to cover the balance of the construction cost of a new subdivision in Hessville, Florida Avenue, which is east of Parish between Orchard and 175th. Containing 11 new lots for new single-family residences. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Tyler,
yes,
Warple,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries, 7 present, 7 ayes, and no nays. Next item is item 9C, a funding allocation for Florida Avenue infrastructure, construction engineering with Nice Engineering in the amount of $84,100. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Spitali. Motion made by Councilman Spitali, seconded by Commissioner Moore. It's been moved and properly seconded for the Florida Avenue infrastructure, construction engineering. Is there any discussion? This is the construction engineering or observation portion of the Florida Avenue infrastructure project recently discussed. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Tyler,
yes,
Warple,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries, 7 ayes and no nays. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, public expression. The mic is open. Councilman Kowinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one final comment. Since the CIB has been in operation, the First District in the city of Hammond has had 2 blocks resurfaced and no total reconstruction. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Councilman Emerson. Would you like to address the board? Okay. Thank you very much. Any other public expression? Seeing none, the next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 20th, here in council chambers with the regular work study session at 4:30, regular meeting at 5. If there's nothing further for the board, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
make a motion,
It's been moved by Commissioner Prieto, seconded by Commissioner Muda to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion there are no nays. Motion carries. We are adjourned.